ASU has the Sun Devils ranked 12th in their future power rankings thanks to their roster retention, coaching staff, and Sam Leavitt.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your guide, Richie Bradshaw, your expert for all things Sun Devils, from the gridiron to the hardwood and everything in between. So on today's agenda, the ESPN Future College Football Power Rankings have ASU ranked 12th. The biggest reason for that is Sam Leavitt. Okay, that's key for now and the future. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the biggest strengths of this roster for 2025. And let's talk about the coaching stability and how the future of recruiting will keep ASU near the top. Before we get started, thanks as always to each and every single one of you for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. So the biggest reason for Arizona State being as high as they are, undoubtedly, and I mean, you can look at this Sun Devils team, and there's a lot of great stuff. They mention the coaching stability. They mention the roster retention. They mention the star power on this team. But it starts and ends with Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt is just coming off of a marvelous season. This is one of the best freshman seasons that Arizona State has had in their program history. It's one of the best freshman seasons that college football saw last season, and it was the best freshman season in the Big 12, hence why they gave Sam Leavitt the Freshman of the Year award. He was terrific. He was phenomenal. Now, keep in mind, he is a redshirt freshman, and that'll come into play here in just a moment. But Sam Leavitt is back, and that's the biggest reason why ASU is set up to have so much success in 2025. Because we can't ignore the fact that they lost some big players. You lose Cam Scadaboo, you lose Leaf Fotanu, you lose Shamari Simmons, you lose Caleb McCullough. Those four alone are massive blows to your team and massive blows to your championship odds. But as long as you have an elite quarterback and the guys around him, you're going to be in a situation where you can find success. And that's the situation that Arizona State is in. That's the situation that Sam Leavitt is in. And that's one of the reasons why Sam Leavitt decided to come back to ASU in the first place. So, I mean, let's take a look at right now for 2025. You saw him excel last year. It was year one at the program. Year one, he comes out, just absolutely dominates. He decides to return. He mentions that other programs were throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at him, and he decided to stay in Arizona State because he's focused on his future and not in the moment. He stays because Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo are staying at the program. That's pretty darn good. Plus, he gets to continue working with star receiver Jordan Tyson, and those two were completely on the same page last year. It was one of the best quarterback to receiver combos in the nation. Like, I can't think of many that would have been better than those two. It was phenomenal, and they're only going to be better in year two. So ASU is absolutely cooking with gas right now when it comes to that combination. But then you look at what else comes with 2025. First of all, as long as Sam Leavitt continues playing at the level he's playing, and there's no reason and no indication that would tell us that he's going to drop off, especially with the continuity that is in place. And that's such a key aspect here, is that coaching staff continuity. But as long as he is under center for Arizona State, you have a chance to win every single game that you participate in. Any of them. Was he great against Texas? No. But you're talking about the biggest stage possible for a redshirt freshman against an elite football program. That's a tough situation for anyone. So I don't fault him for that, but he also played a lot better than the box score shows. So now that he's in year two with comfortability and everything, he's going to be better. And as long as he's on the field, you have a chance to win every single game that you're in. It's what having an elite quarterback does. It's true in the pros, and it's true in college football. As long as you have an elite quarterback, not only do you have a chance to win, but that's what separates you from the pack. That's what makes you a better program than the ones that are getting it done elsewhere, right? You can have a great defense in college football. If you don't have even adequate quarterback play, you're not going anywhere. Ask Iowa. Iowa has routinely hosted great defenses. They never get anywhere because their quarterback play is so tremendously bad. Like, it matters. So ASU, who's also a defensive school at the moment, has Sam Leavitt to be able to carry the offense. That's a big deal. Sam Leavitt has a great chance to continue getting better, and it gives ASU a great chance to run things back, to get to the college football playoff, to win the Big 12. They should be the favorites for the Big 12 until further notice. I don't know why they're not. Levitt has early Heisman odds for a reason too. Like, this is a player that just has so many things going his way. He may be one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the country from seniors to freshmen. ASU can contend with the best because of Sam Leavitt. That's what makes you so ready for 2025. And that's the reason they have him so high. That's the reason they have ASU so high. But what you also have to consider and remember is that ASU, this ranking is also taking into account the future of this program. Sam Leavitt, I mentioned this before, is a redshirt sophomore. He has up to 3 more years of eligibility, including 2025. Will he stay for all of them? Probably not. Unless he drastically declines in play, or maybe he's seeking a national championship. The first round of the 2026 NFL draft is calling his name. And that's hard to turn down, especially because we all know that's the level he wants to get to. He's mentioned it as much as that Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo are helping him get to that point. And that's the goal, is to get to the next level. So if he's projected a first-round pick for 2026, he could come back and stay for 1 more year and have a 3rd year of development, or he could declare with 2 years starting and insanely high upside. So let's play both sides of this, because again, these rankings are also taking into account the future of this program. Hence the future power rankings. So let's say that he goes, and I think that that's probably the most realistic scenario right now, is that Sam Leavitt is going to declare for the pros, and it's going to suck for ASU fans because we don't want him to leave, but he'll have to leave eventually. And quite frankly, if he went on to be a first-round pick, I'd be pretty stoked. ASU is recruiting quarterback right now, and they're getting some really talented guys in the room. As of right now, they have 4-star Cam Dyer, who is going to be out for the majority of the year. I saw somewhere that he is ahead of schedule in his rehab from ACL surgery. But with that being said, I don't want to force him onto the field unless you absolutely have to. Like, there's no other option kind of thing. So I'm assuming he's going to be a redshirt freshman for 2026, which would give him 4 years of eligibility after that. Michael Tollefson is also on this roster. It's really important to remember that Tollefson was a 4-star quarterback at one point in time, and he dropped to a 3-star. And I think a lot of that had to do with politics more than it had to do play on the field, because he wasn't able to play his senior year in high school when he was in California. So he moves out here to Arizona because he's committed to Arizona State. He wants to be close. I think he goes to Boulder Creek. I don't remember. But he goes there mid-season, and he gets on the field and he struggles. And it's not a surprise because he wasn't practicing with these players, and he just had a ton of stuff that was thrown on him. But again, 4-star potential from him. And then next year we have Jake freaking Fetty. Jake Fetty, probably the future of this program. True freshman, 4-star out of Texas, top 10 quarterback in the country. He is rising too. I've said before, I'm curious if he can rise to a 5-star. It's going to be really tough, but he's already just improving so much. Like, on the 24/7 rankings, I want to say he was a 90 or a 91 when we recruited him last October and he committed, which is a 4-star. He's a 95 right now. I mean, that's a pretty significant increase. He's dominant. So ASU, even if Levitt leaves, they're placing themselves in a good position where they have the young talent to move forward. You also got to remember that ASU has just proven that they can add guys in the transfer portal. So it's not impossible that they could add a potential starter in the transfer portal. And if, God forbid an elite quarterback enters the transfer portal, and I'm not going to speculate who because there's no way to predict that. But if something like that were to happen, ASU has a shot to get them. It's as simple as that. Now, on the flip side, if Levitt stays, I mean, we can keep this nice and short. If Levitt stays for even one more season, your window is open. Your window to contend for Big 12 championships, college football playoff appearances, and potentially a national championship. Sam Leavitt is the thing that is keeping that window as wide open as it is right now. Other things are important too. There's a lot of other strengths on this team, and we're going to talk about those coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I need to talk to you guys about our friends over at Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account and you wonder, where did my money go? Well, eating out, online shopping, entertainment, all sorts of good stuff. It's easy to lose track of your spending, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, all your investments, spending in one place. So stop managing your money and start building your wealth. I've said this so many times, and I'll continue to say this, because when I started using Monarch, I didn't realize how much money I was spending on food delivery. Turns out that being lazy at work gets pretty expensive. So I was able to see that, and I was able to start correcting it because it's all in one convenience. I don't have to juggle multiple apps. I can check Monarch. I can see my finances, track spending, all that stuff. I can also manage my money with my partner. It's smoother than ever. Track shared accounts, personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege, half off your first year. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. A shout out to my everydayers, and thanks to all of you for making us your first listen of the day. So here's the thing. As great as Sam Leavitt is, and Sam Leavitt is going to keep that window open for your championship potential, whether that's Big 12, whether that's national championship. Whatever that might be, Sam Leavitt is what's going to keep that opportunity open for you. But there are other strengths on this roster. And I mean, there's quite a few strengths. Honestly, I think that there are three strengths that really stand out the most. Before I talk about those three strengths, we can mention that Sam Leavitt to Jordan Tyson, that connection, the Leavitt to Tyson connection, that is going to dictate the vast majority of the season. Because if they're electric and they're on fire, they're going to be hard to stop. We have seen several times in recent and past history that when you have quarterbacks and receivers on the same page, you have insane levels of success. We saw how good those two were last year. They continue to play that way. ASU is going to win a lot of football games. But I find there to be three major strengths on this team. The first one is that ASU dominates the trenches. This is also something that they pointed out. In ESPN's Future Power Rankings, they highlighted the trenches, and it's both sides of the football. ASU is returning 4 of 5 starters on the offensive line. They lose Lee Fotanu, who was an all-conference player last year. But you're bringing back your starting tackles. You're bringing back your starting right guard, and your left guard is moving into center, and he's really, really good. You also have depth behind those guys, too. And it's intriguing depth to, like, they're starting caliber guys. So you've got – so your starters right now, right? You've got Josh Atkins, Max Yoniker as your starting tackles. And you have Ben Coleman starting at center and Kyle Scott starting at right guard. So there's a spot for left guard. There's a lot of guys who could contend for that. Jamedo Abigbo, the transfer from Texas State, currently the favorite to win that job. But beyond that, there are still starter caliber players behind them. And none more so than Jalen Clem, someone that I am intently intensely excited about for him to eventually get on the field. He was someone I wanted to see last year, but he wasn't able to get out there due to injury. It may be difficult to keep him off the field, especially if you want to try like heavy sets and stuff like that. You could also potentially put him in a guard. Like if a Big Bo doesn't win the left guard spot, Jalen Clem possibly could, but I think that he's the future left tackle as well. That also factors into the future of this power ranking because the four guys returning that we mentioned, Atkins, Ioniker, Scott, Coleman, all seniors, they have to go. But there is that depth behind them, starting caliber depth, that could be able to take over for you. Defensive line, also just ridiculously good. Your top three edge rushers are back. Three of your top four interior defensive linemen are back. There's guys behind them that are being developed that are really, really intriguing. So just in general, the trench warfare that ASU is going to have, they're going to be able to manage the front line of scrimmage very, very well. They should be able to anchor on offense and just set up great running lanes. Some of those guys have shown pretty good upside as pass protectors. Defensively, it was a hard defense to run on last year. It got that much more difficult thanks to everyone returning, guys getting bulked up. It's a really good thing to have. Now, ASU didn't sack the quarterback a lot this year. They didn't make a lot of additions to try and change that. We'll see what happens. Second biggest strength here, it's the running back depth chart, but not just the depth chart, it's the versatility that we have available here. We'll start with Kyson Brown, who is currently my pick to be the week one starter, but that's very subject to change. When I look at Kyson Brown, I see a little bit of everything. He's a big guy. He can put his shoulder down. He has shown some abilities to catch the football. I kind of see a little bit of everything in him, but I do think that he is probably the guy on this roster with the best potential to be your power back. The guy that you put in there on the goal line, the guy who scores 10 touchdowns, even if he doesn't touch the ball a lot. That's Kyson Brown. Kanye Udo transfers in from Army. He ran for over 1,100 yards for the Knights last year. The Black Knights last year. Pretty darn good. He is a proven starter. He is the proven starter on this team. No one has had as many starts as Udo has had. He's got super high potential. I think this could be a next level player. I'm really interested to see what he can do as a pass catcher. I talked to him previously on the show. If you have not seen that, definitely check it out. If you're on YouTube, you can go to the player interviews category and check out my interview with him. Great young man. You will love him if you don't already. But he's excited to start getting pass catching reps, and I'm excited to see that as well, considering how much ASU liked to throw to the position last year. And speaking of guys who are good pass catchers out of the backfield, Raleek Brown. It appears he is finally 100% from a hamstring injury that had slowed him down for over 2 years. He looks ready to go. And that is your go-to receiver out of the backfield, to the point where you could put him out wide. And if you wanted to have Udo and Raleek out there at the same time, you can have Udo at running back and you can put Raleek out wide at receiver. USC was trying that out when he was playing with them before he transferred to Arizona State. So there's a lot of intrigue there. Then you have Jason Brown. He dropped weight. In case you guys don't know, he dropped from 200 pounds to 185 pounds. This was by design, according to the coaching staff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but they're looking for him to become a bit more of a scat back and someone that is going to be able to really hone in on like pass catching skills. Don't be surprised if he ends up being your return man. Same thing for Man Robinson. Great backfield. Third biggest strength for me, it's that secondary. Just about everyone's back. Shamari Simmons is gone. That sucks. That's such a big blow. I don't think people are going to understand how big of a blow that is until we get into the season. But you have Xavion Alford back. One of the best safeties in college football, certainly one of the best safeties in the Big 12, hence why he was a first-team all-conference last year. Ghost Rouser, Miles Rouser, is back. That's a tone setter. That's a dude who's going to hit you hard. You're going to be picking your teeth up because of how hard he's going to crack you whenever you are near him. There's some untapped turnover potential too. He was doing it at New Mexico State before he transferred to ASU. He didn't have any last year. I think that could change. Then you have the corner duo of Keith Abney and Javen Robinson, and it's sick nasty. That's cornerback 1A and quarterback 1B. Those two, they showed a lot of promise last season working together. And I think that they're only going to continue getting better, especially with the safety play that is behind them. Now, there's plenty of depth too. We've talked about Rodney Bimage, no small amount of time on this show, and I do think he's going to find his way out there. Nyland Green transfers in from Purdue. So does Kendrick Breedlove. Those two are going to be able to compete for opportunities. Tony Lucen Cuba is someone to keep an eye on. Adrian Boogie Wilson should be able to find some roles in like the nickel and stuff like that. The secondary is deep, but the fact that you're returning your top 4 guys, that's special. Overall, just the continuity creates such big strengths for this team for 2025. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of players that you could and likely will end up losing off this team on both sides of the ball, but there's also guys who could still return with at least 1 more year of eligibility. That is up to them. If you want to talk about one more reason, or 2 more reasons, rather, as to why ASU is high in ESPN's future power rankings, number 12. Well, it's a lot to do with coaching stability, and it's a lot to do with recruiting. That's coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils and making us your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Shout out my everydayers who are here every day. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. All right, coaching stability. If you thought that ASU did a great job retaining this roster, they did an even better job with the coaching staff. Everyone is back. Every single one of these guys is back, including the coordinators who both were given 3-year extensions. Marcus Arroyo, offensive coordinator for the Sun Devils, who was in the running for the Ryan Broyles Award, which is the top assistant coach in the country because of what he was able to accomplish last year in his first year with the Sun Devils, and turning Sam Leavitt and turning Cam Scadaboo and turning Jordan Tyson into such a high-powered offense that ASU has not had in several years. Yeah, he's back. By the way, terrific quarterback developer, maybe even a quarterback whisperer, if you like that term, but he just is able to take the offense, build it around its strengths, and excel. Defensive coordinator Brian Ward. It's no secret if you've been listening to this podcast for years at this point, and I appreciate you guys more than anyone else. I appreciate all of you, though. Don't worry. You guys just get a special shout out. Brian Ward is terrific. He's phenomenal. He's one of the best coordinators either side of the ball in college football that no one talks about. And I'm good with that because it means that he gets to stay at Arizona State longer. Marcus Arroyo was already being talked about as a head coaching candidate. But Brian Ward, I love that he's just doing his business in the dark. Speak softly, carry a big stick. That's what he does with this defense because he gets the most out of the players and out of the depth that he has provided. It doesn't matter if Richie Bradshaw's out there or if Troy Polamalu is out there. He is getting the most out of those players. He might be even getting more out of them because he places guys in such great positions. Maybe nothing else is more impressive for him, though, than his ability to make halftime adjustments, this ability to make mid-game adjustments. I mean, how many times last year did we see Arizona State get rolled over at some point in time, and then the next drive later, they bite down? Think about the Texas game. First drive for Texas, 2 plays, over 70 yards and a touchdown. The rest of the game, Texas's offense was mostly held in check, and they did not run the football. They had under 50 yards rushing. That doesn't happen by accident. That's how good Brian Ward is. But beyond your 2 coordinators, you returned the remaining part of your assistant coaches too. And before I highlight some of the guys, I wanna come out and tell you that pretty much literally every single assistant coach on this team, whether it's a positional group or like an assistant coach, they're all very key and important to this. But I see some of these guys and I go, yeah, you're one of the biggest difference makers on this team. Coach Sean Aguano, the running backs. He's got a ridiculous track record for being able to develop these guys, whether it's homegrown or whether it's through the transfer portal. He has 1,000-yard running backs, and he has several 1,000-yard running backs. He's terrific. Hines Ward, first year with the team last year, he made a huge adjustment for these receivers. It did not take long for them to have an attitude adjustment in the best way. They started run blocking phenomenally. And that's with no offense to Rashad Samples, the former wide receivers coach, who also did a great job working with these receivers and teaching them how to run block. But the Hines Ward effect was very real for these guys. Jason Mons, first of all, just what an elite recruiter. ASU has landed a 4-star tight end in 3 consecutive recruiting classes. He has the potential to land multiple 4-star tight ends in next year's cycle. Keep an eye out on that. Great recruiter. I'm waiting for his guys to get onto the field so we can find out how good they are. That is not a Jason Mons thing. That is the way the offense has been schemed up. But the first 4-star tight end he recruited, Jaden Fortier, he got injured as a rookie or as a freshman. He wasn't able to get on the field. He's healthy now. Let's see what he can do. But he recruits Shimon Mateer to the program. He has 5 touchdown receptions as like the third, maybe even fourth option in the passing game. He gets Kamari Anderson through the transfer portal from Kentucky. He looks really good. AJ Ia, the 4-star tight end from this year's class, looks like he's ready to go pro. And he's 18 years old. Yeah, he recruits guys. He coaches them up. I'm excited to see his tight ends get a better shot this year. AJ Cooper and Vince Amy coaching up the front 7, particularly the defensive line. Those guys know what they're doing. And one of the things I want to point out, this was said a lot by Texas as we went into the Peach Bowl, is that ASU is too small on the defensive line. They can't stack up. They don't have anyone over 300 pounds. They don't have guys who can anchor against SEC talent and NFL talent. But then they went out and they controlled the line of scrimmage. Remember I said Texas didn't have a single productive play in the run game. They had less than 50 rushing yards combined. The week previously against Clemson, both of their running backs eclipsed 100 yards. So we knew they were capable of it, and they got shut down. So, yeah, they didn't have a 300-pounder. First of all, they do now. CJ Fight is over 300 pounds. I want to say Blazin Lonalong is right there. I think Jacob Rich-Kongaika was able to get over that hump. So they're getting bigger, but even the under 300-pound guys did just fine. They are turning these dudes into anchors no matter how big they are. And then Brian Carrington, the defensive backs coach, he's also done a really good job recruiting. He's been able to really build up the secondary to have just so much depth because beyond the starters that we named, Xavion Alford, Ghost Rouser at safety, and Javen Robinson and Keith Abney at corner. There are guys that are being developed. Rodney Dimmons Jr., Tony Lewis, and Cuba. They bring in Boogie Wilson. Montana Warren is still there. Kyan McDonald is there. There's a lot of guys. Chris Johnson Jr. is there. There's a lot of talent in this secondary that has been brought in through Brian Carrington, and it makes it one of the deepest positions on the field. Coaching stability, phenomenal. One last thing I want to talk about. Why the Sun Devils are ranked as high as they are. Not even for this year, but for the future. It has everything to do with the way they're recruiting right now. So first of all, ASU already has a top 15 class in 2026. It's going to continue improving as guys who are rumored to commit start committing. It's just going to get better. They're onto something right now. Depending on what recruiting site you like to go to, they have 6 4-star players. If you choose between ESPN, Rivals, /On3, and 24/7. That's a lot of really good kids. And again, some of their assistant coaches are just terrific recruiters. Jason Mons, one of the best, but Sean Aguano is great. Brian Ward is great. Hines Ward is great. Brian Carrington is great. Your coordinators are great. Kenny Dillingham is selling kids on this program with honesty, and now he's got the results. So recruiting's only going to get better, and it's It's already pretty good right now, which is crazy to think. But they're also killing it in the transfer portal. And I think that's something that really needs to be looked at a little bit more. In today's game, in today's college football world, it's not just about recruiting, it's being able to add guys through the transfer portal. That stuff matters more than ever. It matters more than when the transfer portal first became a thing in like 2018, 2019. It has never been more important than it is right now. Kenny Dillingham identified that. He attacked the portal, and he has been able to build up this roster. I mean, look at some of the most important players here. Sam Leavitt, Jordan Tyson, Lee Fotanu, Ben Coleman, Clayton Smith, Keyshawn Elliott, Xavier Alford, Javen Robinson. Those are all transfers. Cam Scattaboo, one of the greatest players in Sun Devil history, was a transfer. They know what they're doing in the transfer portal. So when you combine the ability to just take kids from the transfer portal, bring them in, and then you have the ability to recruit the younger kids out of high school, super talented kids, kids from Texas, kids from Southern California. Nayland Scott, a 4-star receiver they just got from Georgia. I mean, they're grabbing guys all over the place. They're doing a great job. So you combine the transfer portal, you combine their ability to balance it out with younger high school recruits. This is what makes ASU a program that is ready to compete now and in the future. The bottom line is ASU is ranked 12th, and it's very fair. It's more than fair. It's a compliment, honestly, that I think fans need to be more presently aware of is like, this is not something to overlook, is like 12th in the country. They weren't ranked last year, but there's a reason they're ranked 12th because you look at what's going on and you see that ASU has the pieces to contend again this year. You see that ASU has the pieces to be a well-rounded team. Yeah, we said Sam Leavitt's the biggest reason why, but he's got a good defense and he's got really good running backs. And there's trench warfare that's going to dominate for him, including the offensive line. The coaching staff's ridiculous. He's got one of the best young head coaches in college football, if not the best young head coach in college football. They're set up for terrific success this year. But again, in a power ranking that is also taking into account the future of your program, ASU's checking that off too, because they're recruiting at a ridiculously high level. And some of the best players on this team can still return. Sam Leavitt has 2 more years. Jordan Tyson still has a year. He's a redshirt junior. Some of their top defensive players can return. Keith Abney, Javen Robinson, Xavier Alford, CJ Fight. I mean, they've just got this ridiculous amount of talent that can return. Defensively, you can have Sam Leavitt, you can have Jordan Tyson, you can have Kyson Brown, Kanye Udo, the amount of run or tight ends here, like they can still run it back with a lot of this roster. You are going to lose big pieces, but it doesn't mean everyone is going to leave. And even the guys who leave, you've got the guys behind them to step up who are being recruited, and you can hit up the transfer portal. So ASU is set up for success, not just for this season, but in the future. And as they continue to stack these seasons together, as they continue to have 9, 10, 11 win seasons, they make the college football playoff appearances, they start winning playoff games, their recruiting gets better, their retention gets better because these guys want to come back. They want to continue competing on a good football team. And it's not just the players, the coaches want to return as well. There's a lot to like here. So ASU at 12, phenomenal. They have a chance to be even better. What do you guys think is the biggest reason for ASU being number 12 on ESPN's future power ranking? What do you think is the best aspect they have for the future? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrats36, the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Wherever you're getting your shows, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll get an update whenever we post new content. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning into the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, making us your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. We will be keeping you posted on all the fun stuff that is going to be coming up this summer. Recruiting stuff is right around the trail. I was not able to get Drake Toll on this week, but don't worry, Drake Toll is going to be coming very, very soon. I'll catch you guys next time. And until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.